How does it feel to finally realise a goal that you've been working on for 8 years in your business? Hi, I'm Catherine Erdley, founder of the Resilient Retail Club, small business retail expert, and also your host on today's podcast. I'm talking to Genevieve of Genevieve Sweeney Knitwear. I've worked with Genevieve for many years. She has taken part in both Retail by Design and also Stock Doctor programs. And I can't wait to dive into her story, find out more about her amazing luxury British-made knitwear and the big goal that she has finally made happen after many, many years.
Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business.
Genevieve, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. Do you want to start off by introducing yourself and your business?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, I'm Genevieve and I'm the founder of a luxury British knitwear label. We design and manufacture luxury knitwear across the UK, supporting small family-run meals and celebrating British craft.
Fantastic. And you have been doing that for how long now? When did you get started?
So this is my 10th year. So I'm celebrating 10 years this year. So it's an exciting year ahead.
Wonderful. And I should say as well, I feel like I have to confess that, our household is a Genevieve Sweeney super fans. My husband has a huge collection of your socks and jumpers, and I'm getting there with my collections. And so if anyone's listening in the market for fabulous jumpers, socks, knitwear, accessories, amazing blanket scarves, so you said those sell out really quickly.
Yeah, they are one of our best sellers, definitely.
And I think it's really fascinating. I know, you and I have worked together over a number of years now, and I just think it's amazing your absolute dedication to the quality of the wool and your knowledge of the industry as well. So do you want to share a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I've always knitted. I did a degree in knitwear and went on to work for global brands in New York, Switzerland, London. And I was always involved in the design, development and production. I kind of wanted to cover all departments so I could learn how to run my brand. But I never knew what it was I wanted my brand to be. But I really realized that I loved meeting the makers and like going to the yarn mills and seeing how the yarn was made and just really kind of being involved in every step of the process. And then that's kind of where I guess my love for the yarn and the quality came from. And then when I also realised that there was a disappearing British knitwear industry and I really wanted to do something to stop it from dying out.
So you work so it's not just British made, but it's also the wool's British, all of the components.
Yeah, so about 80% is British spun. So it's spun in Scotland or Yorkshire. And then some of the fancy yarns for the socks are done in Italy. And then, all the manufacturers are kind of like up and down the UK from Scotland, Derbyshire, and even the buttons are British made from the last button makers in the Cotswolds. And I get to custom dye all the buttons to match the yarn. And it's just beautiful that you can have all these different details and processes kind of still across the UK.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. The thing is, you're not just designing, but you actually, like you say, you spin some of the yarns, right?
Yeah, so I get very involved in all the processes, but I think it's I see the design not just as a silhouette, I see it as the yarn. So I twist a lot of yarns to get different textures and color mixes. So it's something very unique from the start. And then, I'm very involved with, depending on who the manufacturer is. Sometimes I'll go and program with them on the machine, or sometimes I give them a tech pack. I love, just being involved in all the different kind of creative outlets, because magical things happen when you're with the artisans.
Yes, yeah. So what would you say then, as you've been running the business for the last 10 years, I mean, which is in itself a credible achievement, what have been some of the kind of biggest pinch me moments or moments that you've been most proud of?
Well, a very recent one, like literally a month ago, which was kind of a real big moment that I've literally been planning for about 8 years. We've just welcomed an industrial knitting machine into our studio. So we'll be doing 30% of the manufacturing in-house, and we'll be teaching apprenticeships and continuing, like, passing on the skills to the next generation. It's honestly something I've been planning for 8 years. I tried to find some funding. It didn't really exist where I was. So it was finding the right studio, kind of getting to the point where the business could do it. So that felt like a real magical moment when it arrived. You know, the brand values and our kind of vision and goals, it feels like the big achievement and a big pinch me moment for sure.
Yeah, that's incredible. So that's going to be then the production. So 30% of the production in-house. And what's that going to allow you to do in terms of trying things and experimentation? And
yeah, so there's kind of like two sides to it. One side, we can do limited edition runs, so we can test new products. And then if it's a bestseller, we can then pass that program directly to the manufacturer for them to knit bulk, which is, it kind of saves them all the pain points of prototyping, sampling, and it just kind of, it makes a much more kind of lean, quicker kind of production stream. And then also we will be able to react to customer demand. With my blanket scarf, it sells out within a week, and the lead time to make a new one is 4 months. So right. I've completely missed the season, and customers get really upset that they haven't got it for Christmas. And so it'd be amazing to be able to be reactive to, and also to kind of like not hold so much stock, and to knit on demand. So it's kind of got really exciting kind of different parts to it.
Yes. So much freedom, I suppose, to be able to have that production in-house. And then also, as you say, then to be able to be part of passing on those skills and getting apprentice. And
the skills we want to teach are ones that kind of factories find really hard to get people engaged and wanting to do the hand binking, which is the construction of the garment. So the machines that they're now working with are seamless machines. They're made in kind of one piece. So you don't need those hand processes. So it feels like very quickly those kind of artisanal skills are going to disappear. So I really champion it.
So what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had in running your business?
Oh, I feel like over 10 years, I've kind of been through a lot of like storms with like Brexit and obviously COVID. But I feel that Brexit was quite a massive one, because we had such a huge customer base in Europe, and that was quite a shift. Yeah, that's been a challenge. And then also cash flow as a seasonal business, like knitwear is seasonal. And at the beginning, that was very hard to grow organically. It was a real challenge, because it did have those kind of peak seasons, like Q4. But so over the years, we've grown internationally. So like Australia's a good market for us. So we get to follow the winter and then kind of bring in new products that can be worn throughout the year, and more kind of summery knitwear as well. I think the cash flow is the one that kind of slows you down, I guess. And we've never taken on funding, so it's had to be kind of organic and slowly on each year.
Yeah. And I think probably as well for you, you're very creative and you love to create new things and experiment with new things. And I think that is always the balance, isn't it? With cash flow, it's about, you want to develop this range, and then equally it's having to manage, especially when you're having production runs done, because that's a whole other level as well, isn't it? You have to commit.
Yeah, you have to commit 9 months in advance, pay deposits. It's a hard one to manage, definitely at the beginning, because you don't realize how hungry product businesses are.
I think the other thing that's remarkable about your business as well is just how loyal your customers are too. I mean, so you do have a really sort of strong core customer base. Is that just something that's developed over the years?
Yeah, I think the customer base is so loyal, and they've been on the journey for years. I actually met someone last night at an event, and she's been buying from me for 8 years, and she said, I just feel like I've been part of this journey.
Oh wow!
And I'd never met her before, but I knew her name, like, pop up. I think because it's quite my marketing is comes from me, and it's very it's my voice, it's kind of my experience, and so I think people connect with that. And yeah, my newsletter is it does have half of it is that kind of storytelling throughout the week. So I think that's where the loyalty comes, but also because they love the product and it really lasts. Yeah, it's just wonderful when the feedback is that they try something on and it's that comfort that they feel like they've owned it forever. And it's just, it's just something, it feels that, the product brings a lot of joy and comfort, and and the quality is really loved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting what you were talking about, things like creating the unique yarns. It's like it is very much unique to you, and when you actually see the product in real life and you see the sort of depth of color of the yarns and the different textures to it, it's quite unique. And I think that I'm sure for a lot of people it's like you just said, it's once you've had one, then it's it can be habit forming.
Yeah, I think also I don't make it easy for myself. The colors are so hard to show online because they change as the light hits, and so when people see it in real life, I don't know, it does kind of come to life, because color can be really hard to. That's my constant challenge, actually, of trying to show the color perfectly, because they are so unique, and it's all inspired by Mother Nature. So often, like, I love lichen, just like the limes and greens that sit together that you just never imagine would. So
yeah. But that is that challenge in having to zoom in and see the actual colors because when you zoom it out, she said it can be hard for photography to pick that up. And you always did you start off doing in-person events, or is that something you just sort of dabbled with periodically over the 10 years?
Yeah, so when I launched my business, I kind of like launched the website, and then it was kind of like tumbleweed, and I was like, oh, people don't know about me. So I did lots of events in London to start off with, which was just a great way to meet people, to see them try on the garment, to actually have that conversation, to talk about the brand. I actually found it a really great kind of marketing just opportunity, just to see what people were engaged with. And then over the years, I did one year I did a tour across the UK during Christmas markets, and I did 22 in a month, and it was absolutely like chaotic, but it was great to kind of see how the product, what people thought of it, and to tell that story. But now, since having 2 kids, I do a lot less. So I probably do like a few a year. But this year, because it's my 10th anniversary, I want to do another tour of the UK, from like Scotland to like Bristol or Cornwall, and kind of stop at where all my best customers are and get that chance to meet them and thank them.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it'd be amazing. And I'm curious, when you did that tour across the country, because this is always really interesting with events, and actually not even just events, but for example, I've worked in the past for businesses with large store bases, and it is always amazing that there's such a variation between different areas or different markets, how people react to product, what they think of it, the kind of people that you meet. Was it fairly consistent, the reaction you got when you crossed the country, or was it quite different depending on where you were?
It was definitely quite different. And I would find myself editing what I showed. So if I went to Cambridge, it would be much more relaxed, much more kind of pared down. And then probably if I went up to the lakes, it was definitely a lot more walking socks and that kind of chunky in it. So I definitely found myself at changing it. But I mean, I did 22 events, but like some markets, like some are so hit and miss, and but like getting different friends and family to meet me in different spots, and we'd be like, oh, this isn't what we thought it would be. So it was, and some were quite unexpectedly amazing. So it was a lot of lessons learned. But
well, I think that's probably good to hear if anyone's been to an event that they found was disappointing, because I know that can really knock people's confidence, but it's just so variable, isn't it? You can have an amazing event in one place, and it really depends on how it's organised, right?
Yeah, and also like every year is different. Some of them I'd go kind of year after year, and they would change, but as kind of everything do. It's good experience. It's good to kind of, I think as a marketing tool, it's a great way to kind of speak to people and learn what people are interested in, especially when you're mainly an online brand, and you don't get that conversation day to day.
No, completely. You don't really get to see people pick something up or look at something, and you don't really get that. I mean, obviously you can analyze where people have clicked and what they've looked at, but it's not the same as being able to actually talk to somebody and understand what their thought process is.
Yeah, that seeing what people are drawn to is brilliant. When I worked for other brands, I would go and stand in the store and watch the customers, where they went to in the store, what they looked at. And I guess it's a kind of like, that's how I see it as well. Like, yeah, I love seeing what people grab to, what they touch, and then what they end up buying is often very different.
That's so true. Yeah, what they're drawn to. And then, yeah, no, it's fascinating. So last year you joined the mastermind. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it was that was behind that decision? What made you join?
Yeah, so I'd just done a Goldman Sachs small business course, and I felt that I had all these kind of grand plans, but no kind of accountability. And I really wanted to work with you to kind of work through those plans and to get my business into the position where I could buy a knitting machine and everything. So it was kind of where I needed, because I've got a very small team, it's just me and another. So I just wanted to have someone to be able to strategize and to kind of think out the box, and also work on the bits of the business that I may have been ignoring or not focusing on so much.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about the Goldman Sachs? Because it sounds like an amazing program.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. It's a 4-month program. It's very intensive. They kind of say that you exit your kind of like family home life for that time, but you're in a cohort of 70 businesses, and you have lectures throughout the week, and you go to Oxford University and you're taught by professors and Harvard professors, and you kind of take apart your business and learn about all the different marketing operations, like human resource, kind of everything, and re-look at it. And that's probably where I looked at my operations, and I was looking at my lead times and the bottlenecks, and that's where I thought, this is where I really need a knitting machine to kind of help with productions. And you get to meet incredible businesses across the kind of so many different categories, and some quite new businesses and some that are like 40 years old. So it's a real mix, but it's a very open space. You learn a lot from being with other founders.
So you came out with a long list of things to do, but it was a question of being able to put it together into a plan.
Well, it's easy to get drawn back into the day-to-day, isn't it? Like it's very easy to you start off working on the business, not in the business. It's very easy to quickly get back into it. Yeah, especially when you've got young kids running around as well.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I have nothing but admiration for anyone who runs a small business with small children. When I had small children, I definitely would not have had the headspace. So, hats off to you. So, during the mastermind, then, what were some of the shifts that you were able to make?
It opened up, we ended up speaking about parts of the business that I hadn't really focused on. Well, I knew my best sellers and I knew what wasn't selling, but it was kind of focusing on that bit in the middle and really focusing on it and kind of releasing cash out of the business. And just, I've got so much more out of it than I guess my original intention, kind of really making it a really healthy business and actually kind of making those steps of like, right, how can we get to this goal? What do we need to do? I just found it really invaluable.
And you actually, it's quite interesting because you then, after the mastermind, actually went on to the Stock Doctor program, and worked with one of our stock doctors, Katie. So I'd love to know the difference between the two and how you found that process.
Working with Katie, it kind of came at like a really fantastic point because it was my busiest season. It was Q4, and I, as much as I had the intentions to kind of do all the analytics and to look at what's going to sell out quickly, what's slow, and kind of looking at the analytics of it, I would just never get it done because it was kind of like head down getting kind of Christmas orders out. So it was a fantastic chance to have that kind of weekly or monthly meeting and to have that kind of having the numbers kind of confirm, I guess, what my thoughts and feelings were on the season, and looking at what categories I needed to top up or what I needed to push with marketing and kind of give that real, I guess, analytical strategy to it as well. Because often when you're busy, you think, oh, it's great, it's busy, but then you could easily quite forget about two products because your focus is elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was what's really interesting about the fact that you've done both of these, because often when I'm talking to people about mastermind or retail by design, as I'm now calling it, then when I'm listening to people tell me what's going on in their business, if there's kind of big strategic shifts or things they want to re-examine the business or have that accountability moving forward, looking at the broader picture, then that sort of says to me, right, retail by design. And if it's like I'm really, really tight for time, I just need to stay on top of my stock, then that seems to fit really well with Stock Doctor. So it's kind of makes sense that during your busiest time of year, it shifted from one to the other.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely, yeah.
And it's like both of them are valuable at different times, but it's interesting that you've done them both. But yeah, absolutely, I think that's the key thing, is that when you're just trying to keep up with the sales, but someone just saying to you, right, by the way, if you got loads of stock of this, so don't forget to push that, or this is running low, how to manage it, and taking that away from you in a way so you can focus on other things.
Definitely. And I couldn't have done it as well as Katie did as well. It's yes. And also, if I had kind of questions to like about what sizing or what colors are doing well, she could quite quickly, it seems she did it pretty quickly, like break it down and give me that information as well. So especially like after Christmas, we started looking at kind of like our line sheets and autumn winter planning. And that was really, really helpful to kind of look at like, right, how many colors do I actually need per product, and how many items do I need in total per category? And that was really interesting because I've never really done that before. I've kind of designed and made, I guess it's that issue of being a maker, like you kind of make what you want and what you think, I don't know, and there's that less kind of strategy behind it, whereas now I feel like I have a really great plan, which is great when I've got the knitting machine, because it stops me from going crazy with making.
The knitting machine will be running day and night, and
yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so you've got the knitting machine now, so what's next for Genevieve Sweeney?
Yeah, so what's next is bringing together our micro factory, getting our apprenticeships in, and then getting ready to celebrate our 10th anniversary. So that will be autumn. So we've got a limited edition collection launching, and then some really special oversized scarves. So yeah, I'm really excited to get it all together.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And of course, do you want to wrap us up by telling everyone where they can find out more about you?
Yeah, brilliant. So my website is genevievesweeney.com, and then I'm on Instagram as Genevieve Sweeney as well.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go check out Genevieve's incredible knitwear. I can tell you from firsthand experience that it is amazing. And of course, if you have a moment to like and subscribe to the podcast, it makes a huge difference getting it out there in front of other people. You can rate it inside the Spotify app, and you can also rate it and review it inside Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you follow, like, or subscribe, depending on the platform you're on, you'll be the first to know about each new episode that happens every Thursday morning. See you next week.